Hello there guys, what's going on then? It's your boy Ben Gregson or Dilemma here. And today I just wanted to give you a couple of tips and tricks on how to play Zefra from my personal perspective. Obviously there are other Zefra players that will give you different directions. This is just my personal opinion on sort of, I don't want to call it a top tips video, but at the same time I kind of do because that's the point of it. Um, so first of all, there are a million different variants of this deck. The main four being Numeron, Pure, Ancient Warrior, and the Magical Musketeer Starfire version. All of them having very, very cool attributes, um, but all of them attempting to accomplish different things, right? In a very similar manner, every deck aims to get to Zefra plus a 1 scale and Zefra new every single game. There isn't a single Zefra deck list that doesn't intend on doing that, unless you're playing some weird combo variant. Second in line is to get to Croc plus Oracle, to be able to establish your deck's win condition, whether it be VFD, or the Numeron engine, or just like standard counter traps plus pass, and all those sorts of things. Number 3 is to make sure that your deck's as consistent as possible. In my personal opinion, that is the Numeron variant, which is the most consistent. Just because you do have two separate engines that can do the same thing. Both engines are like sort of tutorable through Pathfinder, through terraforming, through set rotation, whatever other cards you want to play in the deck. On top of that, like, you want to be able to see every single card in your deck, which is why the engine's so big in versions like this. And you want to be able to do the same linear combo every game, but if you're forced to not go for the linear combo, you need to know what to do in those certain scenarios. And that's sort of what I want to go on about today. So like, those are the main things, is like, make sure you do what your deck's supposed to do. Make sure that if your deck can't do what it's supposed to do, you go for a similar combo line which ends you up in a area where you can disrupt your opponent. For example, if I can't do the full Numeron combo in this deck, I'm summoning Zefra, searching Pillars, and then I can negate a card with Pillars and then search a Zefra War, so I have two forms of interruption. That's like the very standard thing if you don't have things to back up Path with. Obviously, if you open the nuts and you're just able to get to like Path Zexal, then just get to Path Zexal, or like VFD Path or whatever, right? But there's a lot of times where your hand is quite mediocre, and you just need to like work out what to do with your opening hand. So what I'll do is I'll actually go into the sort of test hand simulator thing on DB very, very quickly. So as you can see with this opening hand, our opening hand is like, this is reasonably standard, okay? So we have access to a 1 scale in Bryonek, we have our Zefraxa as a 7 scale, and this can either get us to our Numeron package or our Zefra package. We can't get to both with this hand, but I'd like to be able to play Zefra more than I'd like to be able to play Numeron personally. So we're going to use the Pathfinder to fetch Oracle, and then fetch Wrath. We're going to opt to not use the Bryonek here and just hold it for next turn. But you can, by all means, use the Bryonek here. It's entirely up to you. Zefrath's going to send Nui. Or, sorry, Zefra New. Scale the Thuban. Actually, it's probably better for you to use the Bryonek here. Just because Thuban actually has some utility. Whereas this is literally just to summon Bryonek occasionally, once in a blue moon. And then you're just going to Pendulum Summon the Zefra, use Zefra's effect, fetch Providence, use Providence to fetch Path, and we end here, right? But even if you don't end on the counter trap, like, say if you don't hard draw the counter trap, instead of searching Path, you search Pillars, and then when you pillage your opponent in their turn, you fetch a Zefra War from your deck, and because you have Oracle on field, you can use Zefra War to pop the Oracle, which not a lot of people tend to do, which is really weird to me. But But that's like one opening hand. This is relatively standard again. We have Providence. We're always fetching Oracle with this Providence because we opened Gamma. So if we do get trolled, we still win the game anyway. But that's Nui, Pillars, everything else. This hand is very, very, very bad because there's no access to Zefra New or to Zefra Path. Or to Zefrath for that matter. Like without making a Gallant Granite first, which we don't play in this list. So this is one of the hands where you're just simply fetching scales and just summoning bodies so you don't die. Obviously, if your opponent like negates your Brionek, you can Gamma them, which gets you an Omega and ripping a card out of the hand, so they start the hand with 4 cards, so you're less likely to die. But in this particular situation, I think I'm just like Pendulum summoning Thuban in defense mode with the Zefra 1 scale and Zefraxiton here, simply because like this floats and then we get a free draw, which is a Zefra Providence, and then we're able to play the game. You just like you want to stay alive. Going seconds, things are slightly different. So let's say going second, our opponent's board is, for all intents and purposes, just like Dragoon, right? So Dragoon usually gets wasted on Zefrath. This is pretty common now. If you have multiple copies of Zefrath, obviously things get easy. But the main aim is when your opponent has Dragoon, you want to be able to tutor for both Pilica and for Zefraxi to give you access to Metaphosaurus, which is like the main way you out this. And so like most hands can do this quite reliably, really. You just have to force the Dragoon out first. And then versus Eldritch back row, this is something I've been doing quite a lot. So quite often I say our opponent has like Lord and Conquistador, but we can't actually give them the Conquistador. So they have Lord on field and like a Conquistador in back row. What I like to do is fetch War. That way War can always answer the Conquistador, right? So we can scale Pilica, scale Zefrath. Our opponent activates Conquistador, targeting our Wrath. We chain the War, popping Wrath, killing the Conquistador so it doesn't resolve, so we get to keep our Pilica. And then we can scale the Wendy, Pendulum, summon Zefra New, and then because we're in the Eldritch matchup, we'll just search Path and just win the game, basically. Which is like the way we deal with things in that matchup. Obviously, there are hands like this where you just like draw your Numeron engine and you just kill them because they're playing bad cards. Like you just throw everything but the kitchen sink at them. So like you'll Zefrath, you'll Pilica, you'll like chuck a Zefra New in your extra. You'll throw you won't activate this first, obviously. You'll like throw a Zefra New at them, and then if they don't answer the Zefra New, then they let the Zefra New resolve, and you like grab Providence for Divine Strike, but we already have Divine Strike in hand, so like you can just like Providence for an Oracle, and then use Oracle to add Raxi for next turn, and then you continue to just like throw cards at them. So you'll throw Gravity Controller out there, path the Gravity Controller back, and then just like Numeron network them and kill them. Because you can always like War pop the Oracle, kill the thing that's actually going to disrupt you, and then just kill them with network. And if you don't kill them with network, you just summon like a very fun Zexal Man. So yeah, those are just a couple of things that have been on my mind. Obviously, I've been playing a little bit less recently. I've actually been playing a lot more Melfi than anything. If you guys want to see some Melfi content, let me know in the comment section down below. I've got plenty of replays for that. But like, as far as Zefra's concerned, it's very, very, very straightforward. But the mistakes that people make commonly about like assessing the game state is something that people just don't do correctly. Like, your opponent could be like fully ahead of you, and you have like 2 pieces of interaction to stop your opponent, and the pieces of interaction come at the wrong time, or your opening hand's a bit mediocre. Like, some people will open like Zefra, Zefra New Providence, and for all intents and purposes, that hand's full combo. But people don't see that, right? So, like I say, Zephrath, Zefra New Providence. Let's put the Fraxa back. Or, like, it could be Providence, Oracle, like, Ham Sandwich, just like any 7 scale, right? So, this hand doesn't look like combo. We'll just add like a Numeron calling and a Zefra Divine Strike. So what you do in this situation is you'd use Oracle to fetch a Wrath, and then you use Providence to fetch yourself another copy of Zefrany. The reason you want another copy of Zefrany is because now 9 Pillars is live if you ever choose to use it while you don't have a Zefra on field. Scale the Zefrath, scale the Zefrany, use Zefrath to send Zefraxi. Or banish it face down like a weirdo. And then you're able to do the Pendulum Summon Make Croc thing. Alongside the Zefra Path and everything else. So you fetch Path. Make Croc. Croc 1, Oracle 2. Stack, draw the Pathfinder. Path, put the Croc back. Summon the Pathfinder, search network. Activate the network, use the calling in hand. Summon all the guys, summon Zexal. And then, like, you have Divine Strike on top, for instance. But, like, I've seen people that have, like, Zefra New Zefrath. And they're like, Zefra New Zefrath search spell. And they'll go, search spell, search a scale 1. Scale the Zefrath, send Zefrany, and then they'll have like double Zefrany with a 9 Pillars. And I'm like, well, you can actually get to here, but you've chosen to go nowhere. You know what I mean? It's very much like it's cool. You got your level 6 that floats, and you get additional cards. But like summoning Zexal with a Divine Strike behind it is a literal game in every matchup. Like no deck can deal with this. Unless you're from like reboot droplet plus combo, then sure, go sign up for the goddamn lottery in that case. But yeah, just a small video for today, guys. We're 1 subscriber away from 600, by the way. Literally, like, any one of you that isn't subscribed to the channel right now, who clicks that big red subscribe button down below the video, will literally make my day when that number says 600. Yeah. I've said a lot of times in this video. Yeah. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. Remember to stay hydrated, like, comment, subscribe, show your boys some love, join the Discord in the description down below, come ask us some questions. And it's been your boy Ben Rex, another Dilemma. Signing out. Peace.